WolfMan has Nards. Can you believe that? Watching the Monster Squad, that movie there was the first movie that made me believe that I would have a fighting chance if I was ever face to face with a werewolf. Okay, if Wolfman has Nards, I have a chance. And the smaller I am and the younger I am, I have even a better chance because the lower to the ground, the more tactical advantage you have to be able to hit or kick Wolfman in the Nards. All right? Seriously. Unless you have a silver bullet. That's what you have to do. If you cannot get a silver bullet to get the Wolfman off of you, kick him in the Nards. All right? Or take whatever you have or rock, hit him in the Nards. I wonder if that would have worked, if that would have worked on Silver Bullet. Of course it would have worked in the movie Silver Bullet because it's a werewolf. And that werewolf had Nards, right? But anyways, welcome back to another edition of our 31 Nights of Horror, and we're going to be talking about The Monster Squad. This is an adventurous movie. A lot of times as a kid growing up, like after watching it a couple times, I didn't even see it as a horror movie because it made it believable that if kids can withstand a fighting chance against Count Dracula, the Gill Man, the Mummy, the Wolf Man, and Frankenstein, all right. With me and my friends, we have a chance, all right. Um, this movie here, man, like the whole aspect of it, the fact that they had their own club, I thought that was so cool. And growing up, I always felt like I was part of the Monster Squad club. And what used to upset me is that when I would go to school, none of my friends would want to participate with that with me. And I'm like, man, didn't y'all watch Monster Squad? Like, after watching that, you didn't want to just form your own monster club? And it was like, no, man. So, I had my own monster squad by myself. Now, a couple of my friends I had, when we stayed in some apartments, we had our own little monster squad. But, I ended up moving away from there, lost touch with them. So hopefully no monsters got them. But I thought it was so cool because people would make fun of them, you stupid little monster squad and blah blah blah. And one of my favorite scenes in this movie is Rudy, who was like he wasn't a bully, but he's kind of like the Fonzie of the group, okay? And they wanted him to join the monster squad, and he was down for joining, but he had to pass a test. So they said, hey, so name 3 ways to kill a werewolf. And he says, silver bullet. And then they said, what else? He said, silver bullet. That's it. They was like, nope, nope, nope. And then he asked them, he said, okay, so what's the other 2 ways to kill a werewolf? And they was like, you can decapitate him. You can blow him up with explosives. And they was like, so they had this whole back and forth. And the thing about it is there's only one way to kill a werewolf. Silver bullet. All right? Only one way. They're talking about you can drive a stake through his heart. No, those things do not work. Talking about blowing to pieces, those things do not work. And those theories was tested. The Wolfman was blown into pieces, pieces come back together. And then Rudy ends up getting the silver bullet, which was a very intense scene. As the werewolf was coming to him, he was like, give me a damn silver bullet, man. And then he shot him. And he told him there's only one way to kill a werewolf. Now the Gill Man, they was able to kill him with a shotgun. All right. Fat Kid killed him. And he says, my name is Horace. All right. That's what I love about this movie. He got to redeem himself, man, because everybody picking on him and the people who was picking on him, the bullies, they got to see him save their lives from the Gill Man, which the Gill Man, I don't know. He's kind of like the Aquaman of it because I'm like, he's pretty whack on land. He just, but I guess on water, he's a beast, but he should have just stayed in water. Um, the mummy, the whole mummy scene, Rudy again. I mean, Rudy was the man in this movie. Like, he should have been the leader of the group. Like, he was just like tearing people up. Like, he took out the mummy, took the slack, the arrow, boom. I thought that was real cool. Um, Frankenstein, man, like the relationship between little Phoebe and Frankenstein, I thought that was cool. I'm not gonna say father-daughter relationship because her father was in her life, but it was kind of like a big bro, little sister relationship. He was being like her protector. Kind of reminded me of like in Game of Thrones where you had the Hound was protecting Arya Stark. Reminded me of that a little bit. But the whole scene where when the portal was coming, limbo. They called it limbo. And it was pulling Frankenstein, and she was pulling Frankenstein's hand. And she was like, don't go, Frankenstein. Don't go, Frankenstein. Phoebe, boy. Like, to this day, every time when I watch that scene, I get teary eyed. I get teary eyed because I'm like, wow, man, that, it's like, man, Frankenstein was all right, But see, Frankenstein had to let go to make sure, but no, I take that back. He didn't have to let go, but he knew where he was at. It's like he couldn't stay in that world because, they would have experimented on him and who knows what the humans would have done to him. So, but, man, this is such an adventurous movie, of course, my kids, they've watched this movie and they enjoyed it. But we watch this movie every year. Real good movie, The Monster Squad. And like I say, if you ever, it's cool. Another reason, it's a cool reason to watch The Monster Squad is, you know, let's say if you're watching a movie and it's really scaring, you're really scared, right? But go watch The Monster Squad. And then that movie will remind you that, hey, man, every monster, they have a weakness. They can be stopped. All right. And that's what does it for me is that every monster has a weakness. You got to figure out the weakness. And that's what Monster Squad taught me as a kid. But man, I love this movie, man. And to this day, I still feel like, hey man, I'm part of the Monster Squad, no matter how old I am. I might form a new Monster Squad though. If I form one, are you down for joining? Are you down with joining it? Let me know. Student of the Game Podcast, thank you for tuning in to another edition of our 31 Nights of Horror. Peace out.